Howdy, 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 folks. Good lunchtime. How is everyone? Welcome back to the Hotspur Hood. It's Lunchtime Scoop. From myself, Tommy, T-Dog, whatever you prefer to call me. We have a few hosts on the channel now, so it's not always me here. The Total Hotspur Boys on Saturday, Danny, has been releasing a lot of stuff recently, so welcome to the show. Please, before we get going, or if you're watching recording or whatever, please make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Super chats are on too. All help support the channel massively. Right, we got a lot to chat about. Hell of a lot to chat about. Give me your thoughts in the messages, in the chat zone. Tell me exactly what you're thinking. I'm on my own. On these solo streams, I get fully interactive. I read out everyone's chat. We can get discussing. International break. We play, I say we, if you're an England fan. We've got Australia tomorrow. Should be interesting. Italy Tuesday. That's the big one. Italy Tuesday, because it could be James Maddison against Destiny, Adogi, making his debut for Italy. It could be up against each other. So I'll certainly be watching it. I'll be watching it anyway because I'm an England fan. I probably won't be watching England Australia, to be honest with you. But that'll be very, very interesting. They probably won't be on the same side. But as we're seeing from Maddison, left, central, right. I mean, we saw him assist from the right-hand side against Luton. Great assist for Van der Ven. So he's here, there, and everywhere. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how many appearances Maddison gets for England. For me, he should be first team. Him and Kane. The irony. Right, we're going to start with a few funky visuals up here. Something I haven't really talked about a great deal. Not too much in-depth transfer talk, we can say. Because, the window didn't close that long ago. And we're still quite far away from the window. But it's international break. Perfect time to get chatting. This guy's been linked a lot. Not just with us, but with other clubs. And I think it's good. It's good to focus on transfers. Hopefully, this is what our scouting department are doing this international break. Plans in place, scouting missions, certain regions, countries, clubs, specific players. This is what should be happening now. We've got a new technical director of football. So I'm pretty convinced something will be happening. So get a move on, Levy and the boys and the cronies. It's been a great start. Good start to the season for Spurs. But savvy Spurs fans all over the globe will know that much improvement is needed, especially from a player personnel point of view. So this January is big. Big. And this is a big player. Right. Kalvin PHILLIPS, big Spurs links. It's safe to say Mr. Pep Guardiola isn't his biggest fan. Having been at City for 15 months, Phillips, when he's from Leeds. We know this. Gundogan was sold. Big leader in the dressing room. Rodri the other day was suspended. Who came in? Not Jorginho, Kovacic. Kovacic came in. Should have got sent off, to be fair, against Arsenal. Didn't really matter in the end. Don't get me wrong. Kovacic is a very good player, but he's in front. He's already in front of Kalvin PHILLIPS. This guy's going to be available. He's going to be going somewhere in January, I'm convinced. But I tell you what, I'll do a lot of neutral shows. I love neutral shows. I love talking about other teams other than just Spurs, especially when it's not going well. But right now it is going well. Kovacic is rated so high by managers all across the world. Inter, Real Madrid and Chelsea, played for all of those clubs, always pretty much first team. He is one of the best. He doesn't score goals. He doesn't get many assists. So Phillips falling behind Kovacic isn't a hit on his personality or his talent. He's a very, very good player, Kovacic. But when you don't assist and score goals, you always get overlooked. With our centre mids, we've got to look at it in terms of who we have there in the same position as Phillips and the players we're looking at. Bissouma, fantastic. He won't be there for the next game. Probably we'll lose him in one of the next 4 or 5 games as well because it will still count as 4 yellow cards. Hopefully not for the Chelsea game. Skip, Bissouma, Sarr and Højbjerg right now. Bissouma and Skip have a history of injuries. Skip was out for almost a whole year. Bissouma, a lot of last year. That's 3-4 months of last year. This has to be taken into consideration when you're looking at new players in that row. Sarr is young. He's been fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, Papa Sarr. But we don't want to burn him out. He's still a very, very young boy. Christmas times especially. Christmas time, I think you have seven or 8 games in December, 5 games in the last 10 days or something crazy like that. 5 games in the last 2 weeks, something insane like that. And we know, there's another centre mid that we always forget about, but he hasn't been around because he's been injured. Another long-term injury, Bentancur. We're hearing training's going well. He's going to be back into full training shortly. But we can't rely on him. It's a horror challenge. It was an ACL. Players rarely come back from ACLs. Very, very few players come back from ACLs. Or they have to completely change the way they play. That kneecap, anything around the kneecap in football is a big problem. It's a horror injury. We don't know how he's going to come back, so we can't rely on that. There's also another big element. We don't get into this until the window starts. So it's not as big as people think. It's not like it starts in December. But we got the Asia Cup starting in January. We got the African Nations Cup starting in January. African Nations Cup will take 2 of our players away, 2 of our centre mids away. Bissouma and Sarr will be gone for a month, 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. Depends how far their nations get. This will naturally mean in January we're going to be on the lookout for centre mids. I'm convinced of that. Absolutely convinced. It's perfect, really, the window being at that point, because we'll be halfway through the window. This is the time. Proactivity. Get the short list of centre mids that could come in. We're going to lose Sarr and Bissouma, our 2 starting centre midfielders. Now, Phillips isn't the obvious choice to replace. I'd put Phillips more in line with Hotspur. At the same time, you could put Bissouma in the same bracket as Hotspur. Bissouma was a defensive midfielder for Brighton. In front of the back four, he done his best work. A lot of our centre mids done their best work at the back four. As I said, Hotspur and Kalvin PHILLIPS. But Bissouma's adapted to Ange. He's changed the way he plays. So if Phillips comes in, he might not be that defensive midfielder. He might play higher up the pitch, like Bissouma has with us in comparison to what he did at Brighton. He's not defensively. He's not exactly what I want. But if he's available, and he should be available, loads of Premier League experience. I didn't realise he's 28. Well, he's going to be 28 in December. 2nd of December, he's 28. So he's currently 27. By the time we sign, if we do sign him, someone signs him in January, he's going to be 28 years old. 28 caps for England, experience. Whoever signs him, if we sign him, it'll be a short-term loan, like a Danjuma, like a Langley sort of deal, with a possible permanent transfer at the end of his loan spell. That's what I'd imagine. We'd give him a little bit of money up front, like we did with Danjuma, 2 million, 2.5 million, something like maybe 3 or 4 for Kalvin PHILLIPS, and then at the end of it, we can decide whether we want him, and he can decide whether he wants to sign. Man City can decide whether they want to accept the offer. But I think we're going to need one. Imagine if we get another centre mid injured. At that point, it could easily be the case. Bissouma, Sarr, and let's say Skip's injured. Bentancur hasn't come back. Leaves you just Hotspur. We really need to be on the hunt for a centre mid, even if it is short term in January. So the homework needs to be done now, and that's why the rumours, these rumours with Kalvin PHILLIPS, you've got to engage your brain sometimes. What I try to do when I talk about transfer, engage your brain, see if it's realistic, see if it makes sense, and this one does. Centre mids in January makes a lot of sense with the African Cup of Nations coming up, and just the base injuries. Also, 214 games for Leeds in the league, just the league. Experience in this league, played a lot in the Championship, tough league, played a lot in the Premier League, which is why Man City signed him. And 28 caps for England. Yeah, he looks good. What I'm going to do at the end of the show is I've got a roundup of some of the news, other transfer news and rumours around the Premier League. Phillips isn't just wanted by us. Everton looking at Phillips. Newcastle are looking at Phillips. There's a few clubs, but I'll round that up at the end of the show. But other options for us in centre midfielder, I feel we should be looking at. Maybe Kokchu. Feyenoord's Kokchu. Feyenoord started off very, very well. The next player we're going to be looking at is a Feyenoord striker. I'm sure many people know who he is. And so Kokchu, Turkish centre mid, very, very good under slot. Big reason to win the Europa League last season. Very good centre midfielder. Everton's Onana, excellent centre mid. I think he was struggling with a bit of an injury earlier on this season, but that guy's a baller. One of the only there's two or three good players Everton still have. Onana's one of them. They signed him 14 months ago. He cost about £30 million, so he'll cost 50. But I like him. I'm a big fan of this Onana. So I'll be looking at him. I'll be looking at Kokchu. Long term, these are who I'd be looking at. I'd probably look at Amrabat as well. Because if Amrabat hadn't signed for Man United, I would have been looking at Amrabat. I'm a big fan of Amrabat. Again, a defensive midfielder, but for Fiorentina, I've seen him play in multiple roles. If Amrabat was available, I'd take him over Phillips. Man United playing him at left back. Oh, it's crazy. Man United playing Amrabat at left back, I've seen. Madness. Falling apart. They're falling apart. I'm eating pistachio nuts, by the way. Starving. Streaming eat at the same time. Nothing wrong with that. Right. As I said, on these solo streams, always try and get in the chat. See what people are saying. So let's get in the chat. Let's see who's on board. Let's see what everyone's saying. Please, what we're 16 minutes in, please make sure you smash a like if you haven't already done so. I think we're already in a good amount of likes, so I really appreciate it. It's completely free, as is subscribing, as is hitting the notification bell. All helps massively. We want 80 likes. Thank you ever so much. Get us up to 20. That'd be great. Right, Mr. Eugene in the house. Eugene, Spurs U Asian TV. What a man. How you doing? Hi, everyone. Big up. Leave you out. He'll always stand by. Leave you out, no matter what. I'm with you, brother. Much love. Propels. I mean, Peoples. Jacob Farrow. How you doing, mate? Thank you for the super chat the other night as well. Thank you ever so much. It was a good show on Tuesday night. Big up Tommy in chat. Bobby K and his boys. Bobby K, all the way from Canada. How you doing, mate? Louis K. Bobby K to Louis K. How are you doing, my man? Always a regular on the shows. Always see him in the chat. Big up to Mia. Mia, it's the first time I've seen you in my chat. You do a lot with Dan on the channel now. I love it. I love what you do with Dan. And you got a YouTube channel of your own. I didn't even know this. There's hundreds, thousands of YouTube channels people have got. So Mia's YouTube channel, make sure you get over there and give us some love. Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs. Big up, Tommy. Oh, you're with the lady who YouTube. Yeah, is it Kate? Is it Kate? I think. And you're married? Are you married? We have a dad and daughter regulars in the chat as well. So cheers for coming in. Another YouTube channel that's growing all the time. Going to be hard to scout Phillips since Pep does not rate him. He doesn't rate him above Kovacic, does he? But Kovacic gets a lot of stick because he doesn't score the goals, assists, doesn't get the through balls. But the managers rave about Kovacic. Whenever he arrives at a team, he's usually in and around the first team. So it's not disrespect to be behind Kovacic. But do we want to be signing a reserve and a reject? Because that's basically what he is. But then Zinchenko was a reject. Gabriel Jesus was a reject in many ways. And I would have taken Jesus. I definitely would have taken Jesus over Richarlison, that's for sure. Because he won things. Could say the same about Laporte. And Laporte was the centre-back I was gunning for. If we got Laporte and Van der Ven, young centre-back, proven centre-back in the Premier League, I'll be delighted. The reason I like Kalvin Phillips is we need Premier League experienced players. We haven't had enough. We just haven't. We've seen what Maddison's done since he's come in. Same age, 27, 28. Good to have those heads. And Premier League's a different kettle of fish to any other league. It's so much faster. It's so much more physical. We need Premier League experienced players in their late 20s. And I think Maddison's fitting perfect. Kalvin fit for a loan deal in centre mid in January. Why not? Why not with the players going away in African Cup of Nations? Morning, Eugene. Morning, Mia. Lots of love between the people. Players must come in within the first week of January. If not, we'll burn it all down. We won't burn it all down. We know we won't burn it all down. Should happen, but we do always leave it late. Poor old final day of last season. Kulu and Benteng, the final day of the season before, actually the penultimate day of the season before, but it's still pretty late. Good morning, Jim. Bentancur might not be the same player. Centre mid is a necessity. Yeah, Louis, that ACL, very few players return. WTP in the house. What's happening? Hey, brother. Lookman. Hi, mate. Lots of love between the people. Share the love. Smash a like before we get on to the next one. Phillips isn't a technical player, so it would be like saying Højbjerg all over again. We already have a Bentancur, the sumo, defensive technical players. Yeah, exactly. But it does remind me of a Højbjerg. I think there's more technical ability to him than Højbjerg. But if you're looking at base role is very similar. Loan with option works, but no outright purchase for me. I don't think they'll allow him to go on an outright purchase because he'll cost about 30-40 million pounds, and that just doesn't make sense for Levy. Because next season, if Bentancur does recover, we've got 5 centre mids. A lot of people give Skip stick. I'm not one of them. I actually like Skip. But even if Bentancur does come back and Skip gets sold, you've still got 4 centre mids. Bissouma, Bentancur, Skip. We're quite strong. We're quite strong in centre mid. It's just the African Cup of Nations, and Hopefully, assuming don't get any more suspensions, be all right. On Phillips. Hey, Kate and Jim, sorry, I'm doing housework. Didn't look at the chat for a minute. A lot of people enjoying your chat, and when I've watched it, it's been very good. Mia and Dan on together. They've got something there. They've got something there. And Dan's growing all the time. He started hosting the channel, and he's doing a fantastic job. Putting the shopping away. No probs. Hutton Kate is putting the shopping away. Phillips isn't a technical player, so what's the point of signing him? It doesn't make any sense. This is just paper talk. It makes sense because, I mean, why would you? To be fair, why would you sign Brennan Johnson? He's a right winger. We've got Kulu and Porro who can play there. But I do think it's why'd you sign Dan Juma when we had about 5 left wingers? It's Daniel Levy we're dealing with. He doesn't fit in perfectly, but if he's cheap and if it's a loan deal, then for Levy it makes a lot of sense. And for us that have supported Spurs for a long time, it sort of makes a lot of sense. Will Phillips strengthen us? If it does, will Pep giving to us challenge for the title? Who knows where we are? So far, so very, very good. Who knows where we'll be come January? I think people are a little bit carried away, to be honest with you. But it's good as a fan. Why not? Why shouldn't you get carried away sometimes? That's the whole point in supporting a team sometimes. And let's face it, things haven't been good over the last few years. It's only 6 wins out of 9 games. We need to keep our feet planted. I've got the next 5 games coming up. A lot of London teams, we'll talk about that shortly. We need a centre-back, centre defensive midfield and a striker. I think Shukil, I think so too. I would go centre-back first. I'd switch. I'd go second and put striker second, then centre defensive midfield third. But yeah, centre-back, striker, centre defensive midfield, which means we'll probably get a right winger. Oh, I love them nuts. Pistachios. They're so expensive, but go to Aldi. I don't shop at Aldi all the time, but they're brilliant. $1.50 for a pack. Anywhere, Marks and Spencer, £6. The quality. Fruit and veg, get an Aldi. If you're getting ready meals and meat, go Marks and Spencer. Tommy, I'm with Kate. Right, I see. Yeah, I've seen the channel. It's good to see smaller YouTube channels coming into the forefront now. This is a very small YouTube channel, so it's great to see fellow streamers. Rather have one of our youth players instead of Phillips. Yeah, the youth's doing extremely well. Top of all leagues. Premier League 2. Is it under 18s or under 19s? And of course, Premier League. Phillips has an engine room, never stops, works his butt off. You never see the guy sweat, do you? You never see the guy sweat. Phillips had a few big injuries. That's the only thing. Someone mentioned it on my video. I looked it up and he missed quite a few games. We need Phillips like a root canal. He covers every blade of grass, but hasn't got a creative bone in his body, nor do we need Gallagher, a player who doesn't even know his best position. Gallagher is I like Gallagher. I rate Gallagher. That guy really works his ass off. Sometimes you hurt yourself by being adaptable, and Gallagher's one of those players, can play centre defensive midfield, centre mid, can. I rate him very, very highly. From what I saw at West Brom, from what I saw at Palace, the guy's a cam. The guy's best position is a cam. I've seen him playing there in the last few weeks, and he's so much better as a cam. Scored goals for West Brom Palace in the Premier League as a cam. But the fact that he's willing to play in multiple positions, a lot of players aren't, hurts. You can hurt him. I like Gallagher. We're not signing him anyway. It's a pointless topic to talk about Gallagher. Not going to Spurs. No Chelsea players come to Spurs since Poyet, and that's because his contract was released. His contract come up in 2000. It's not happening. We're not signing Chelsea players. Not for money, unless this is like an ex-manager or players' contracts run out. We're not getting Chelsea players, and vice versa. I don't think we'll be selling to Chelsea. I don't think he's the guy we need. No, I agree. I don't think he's the guy we need. Big up to Danny. By striker called, yeah, big up. Gurasi, I've heard this guy's name come up. This guy's name's popped up a lot. Don't mind me, just doing the dishes and vacuuming at the same time. Big up. Yes, Angelo. How you doing? Exactly, Tommy. That's why I get excited and believe we can win stuff. But it's the hope that kills you. On the other side, it's the hope that kills you. I've learned that a lot. People say I'm very negative, toxic maybe. I try and be less reactionary because I love this club. I've spent so many tears, so much emotions over the years. I don't know where it's headed on the league. I don't like where it's heading. But you got to celebrate the good times. And right now, it's not just the results, but the way we're playing. It's fantastic to watch. We're excited going into the games as fans. You got to celebrate. I quite like Phillips. He's a good player. He's a very good player. You don't move to Man City unless you're a good player. Back by Guirassy of Stuttgart. I was Stuttgart by centre back on loan and centre defensive midfield on loan. Do you know what? We got to see. We got to see where we are come January, because you just don't know with injuries. We almost lost Romero and Van der Ven in the first week or 2 weeks. So Van der Ven's so quick, and you know he's going to do his hamstring. He just about made one of the game's late fitness tests. Romero almost got injured. Romero always getting injured. So centre backs is key. It's absolutely key. We don't know what situation we're going to be in. Fingers crossed we don't lose either one of Romero or Van der Ven. It's still very early to judge Van der Ven. He's got a little error in him. But the fact that the boy's 22, the fact that I've not seen pace like that for a centre-back for a very long time. Romero just looks so much more settled. We can't lose either one of those two because we've got another Phillips, Ashley Phillips, very young. Don't think we can rely on someone who's played 7 times for Blackburn and then Eric Dyer. We have to try and, whatever our physio team, our medical team done with Harry Kane over the last 2.5 years, they need to do with Romero and Van der Ven. Because Harry Kane hardly got injured. He's always injured. They had glass ankles, but the last 2 years didn't get anything. We need that for Romero and Van der Ven at least till January, because we're struggling without them. We really are. So injuries will have a big part to play, especially, keep coming back to it, but on Christmas, 6-7 games within 2 weeks. I love Christmas. Not into this winter break. I love it. That's Christmas to me is snow, mince pies, and loads of football. I love it. Hi, Jim Job. Hey, Mary Lou. I want to go to Australia one summer, but it'd be weird. It'd be weird celebrating one winter. It'd be weird celebrating Christmas in summer. But I want to do it. I love Christmas. Late night, but I guess your show wasn't live this morning. It's okay. Went back and watched it. Oh, right. Yeah. They streamed. Dan and Mia streamed yesterday morning. Why'd you have such a late night? Angelo, hi. Imagine we're sat top of the table come January. Levy sits back, job done. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is a big problem, Louis K. We look at it and we go, oh, look, we're top. We're top. Angie's doing so well. Levy has to support him. Levy has to support him now. But that's when he doesn't support him. That's usually when it comes around and you're like, well, we're doing all right anyway. We don't need any new players. We're doing fine. We're top. If you're coming from that perspective as an owner, you're in trouble, because that's what we've done. We went 500 days without signing. 500 days without signing, not 100 days, not 200 days with Pochettino's 500 days. If you're willing to go 500 days without a signing, you're willing to go 30 days without a signing. So we need players, regardless. We need that centre back. For me, we need a striker. It's not as imperative. We need a centre back. Absolutely. To be fair, we needed a right back last winter. We got it. Final day of the window, but we needed Porro because Emerson is useless. Emerson and Dyer are the most useless footballers at the club. Might be nice off the pitch, but on the pitch, no good. So we got the right player, Porro. And to be fair, the winter before we got Kulusevski and Bentancur, so we've done okay. We've done more than okay, let's say, in January. We need another one. We need the centre back. Focus right now. International break. Get your scouts out there. Get to regions. Get to countries. Get to clubs. Get to specify specific players and really hunt them down, scout them. We need some experienced players. Laporte would have been perfect. Right, let's get back onto the next one. Let's get to this man. Slots GIMENEZ on his way to Spurs. I'm not just going to be talking about GIMENEZ. There's other strikers we've been linked with, but this is the guy that's constantly linked with us. Again, like the African Cup of Nations, 12th of Jan to 10th of February, I think there's 1 day difference. So Asia Cup starts on 12th of Jan, finishes 10th of February. African Cup of Nations starts 13th of Jan, finishes 11th of February. So we're going to be losing Bissouma, Sarr and Son together, unless they're injured, and we're going to lose them anyway. So there could be 5-6 weeks. South Korea especially, they're going to be favourites, so they're going to be one of the favourites. So you could lose Son for 6 weeks. Look, we've got Richarlison, we've got Johnson and Veliz. That Richarlison plays number 9 for Brazil. Johnson, it's funny that because Richarlison never really played number 9 for Everton. Kyle Lewin played number 9. He played on the left. Johnson never really plays up front for Nottingham Forest, but for his country he does. So Johnson and Richie actually play up top for their country. And Veliz is a striker, but the guy is very, very young. He came on the other day, and I like him. He looks like he's got a bit of upper body strength. He's got a bit about him, but it's far too early to put pressure on this guy to say, if we're in the top 4 fighting for the title, say, this is the guy. This is the guy. You know, it's too young. Too young. And I know you've got to give young players a chance. Absolutely give young players a chance. But if you're in and around top 4 and winning trophies, then, you know, you need some quality in there as well. So when Son goes, you worry. You really do. Richarlison, Johnson, Veliz, that's all we have. So there are 3 big ones. Centre-back. Centre-mid wouldn't be too much of a problem if we didn't have African Cup of Nations, but we do. And some of the centre-mids have a history of injuries and striker. So this guy, this season, Santiago Gimenez, 12 goals and 2 assists in 8 Eredivisie games this season. Had a very good season last year too, not quite with the same goals, but a large part of Feyenoord's league and Europa League success. They were magnificent last season, but so far, already 12 goals in 8 games. It's insane. So he's Argentinian born, but plays for Mexico. Argentine. Could get on with Veliz, Lo Celso, Romero. There's a bit of love there. But his goal ratio before this season isn't great. So 4 goals in 20 for Mexico. So he's Argentinian born, but plays for Mexico. 4 goals in 20 games for them. That's not a problem. That's just for your nation. I think he's behind Gimenez at Fulham. But before he signed for Feyenoord for £5 million, 88 games, 20 goals. Only 20 goals in 88 games. That's not great. That's really, really not good. I remember when a couple of streamers were telling me that we should sign Emmanuel Dennis. We should sign Emmanuel Dennis because we got him from Watford because he had a good season at Watford. I was like, but you've got to look at his track record over the seasons. And back in Belgium, he scored like 18 goals in 100 games. And this is similar. This is only 20 goals in 88 games. It's not a great return, but I mean, 12. He seems to be getting better season on season. 12 goals. 12 goals in 8 games. Incredible. He's quite skinny. He is really, really skinny. He looks tall, but he's not that tall. He's like 1.83 meters. He scores a lot of headers. Can hold the ball up for someone that's skinny. He's quite leggy. Not crouch leggy, but a little bit. He's quite leggy. More powerful than he looks, I think, it's safe to say. But Eredivisie, that league, Eredivisie, players have come and gone with great goal scoring records. We know about Vincent Janssen. Tried to have him as backup to Spurs. He couldn't score for love nor money. Kesman, I remember when Kesman went to Chelsea, his goal scoring record for 4 seasons was just incredible. Afonso Alves to Middlesbrough. There's loads. This is just off the top of my head. A couple of work. Van Nistelrooy was magnificent, but he did go to Man United. It's hard not to be magnificent at Man United under Ferguson in those days. He was a very good player. So Eredivisie is always risky. It's always risky. And if you're looking at the other teams in for him, because there are other teams outside of Spurs, Inter are heavily linked. If you go on transfermarket.com, they're the ones with a question mark, which indicates that they're the ones in for him. They're the ones that have placed the most interest, let's say. And they've got to replace Dzeko or Lukaku, Inter. Because, they've got Marcus Thuram and he looks fantastic, but they didn't replace Dzeko and Lukaku. And Martinez gets a lot of injury. So it makes sense that they're looking at strikers. So they're just looking at this boy too. Real Madrid and Dortmund linked. I don't know why. That is. I've just seen that. His agent has confirmed. This is all apparent. I don't have sources. This is what I've read and seen online from multiple sources. On this front, it's multiple sources. His agent has confirmed interest from Spurs, but Inter do appear to be front runners. So it was signed just over a year ago for £5 million from Cruz Azul, the Mexican team. Now worth 22 million again, according to transfermarket.com. 3.5 years left on his contract, so 2027. It's a long contract. For me, he'll cost about £40 million. £40 million. If he was in a better league, if he's in Spain or even Italy, and he had these numbers at this age, he's only 22 years old, I think you'd be £60 million. But because it's Eredivisie, people are always a bit funny, a bit sceptical. And rightly so, because the strikers to score goes there, come here and sometimes just don't do it. I'd take the punt. I'd get our centre back in, and I like this guy. I like his numbers. And I like that he's been stewarded by Slot, who I think is an absolutely terrific manager everywhere he's been. I wanted him at Spurs. I'll be honest with you. I wanted Slot at Spurs before Ange. I think he's a top manager. It looks like he's going in, but a lot of Spurs fans have talked about him. Probably more wishful thinking than anything, because I don't think we're going to go in January and spend £50 million for a striker. 40-50 million pound when we sign Brennan Johnson. This is a guy we probably should have got over Brennan Johnson, if I'm perfectly honest. This is a chap I'd get in front of him. Now, more strikers linked. We know about Ivan Toney. He'll be back for January. He'll be back for Brentford around January time. The window opens. They're currently struggling in the Prem, and it was always going to be that case without the Prem's highest goal scorer. Behind Kane and Haaland, Toney scored the most goals last season. He's a big player for them. They play very direct. They pass the centre midfield. They just play direct. They hoof it up to Toney, and it works. He brings it down and scores himself, or he brings it down for other players like Mbemo and the likes. They bypass their centre midfield, very workman-like centre midfield, Brentford. You look at their team and you think that's not a good team. That is, the centre mids are very, very average, but they bypass it. They play direct. I don't think they're going to sell in January. They're very, very smart in the transfer market, like Brighton. I think there's only one club that do things better in the Premier League right now, and it's probably Brighton. So they both do very well. But they're 15th, Brentford. I reckon they'll be there or thereabouts come January, 15th. They could be in a relegation battle, so they will not be wanting to sell Toney. I love him. I think he's a very, very good player. He's the obvious replacement for Kane, and I say it once again. I keep coming back to it. Premier League proven. Maddison, Premier League proven. Phillips, I'll take Phillips for 3 or 4 months because he's Premier League proven. And I'd rather him than someone from Spain like a Danjuma. Like, we'll get a Danjuma type centre mid that will never play and has no experience. So, yeah, I like Gimenez. I like Toney. Very, very good in the air. Could be, if we have Maddison crossing balls into the box, Porro getting balls into the box, Toney easily is the best header in this team if he was to come in. So it could be a lot of heady goals. He would love Porro. He would love having Porro on that side. And Maddison for putting corners in, free kicks in. Even Maddison just goes wide anyway. From open play, he doesn't just stay as a cam. As we've all seen, he goes right, goes left, brings the balls in from all areas. Now, next striker. I want to talk about another striker, but first I'll get in the chat because we've got quite a few comments. I want to go through them before I go to the next striker I want to chat about. Let's see where we are. I need to keep up. As I said, on these solo streams, I try and read out everyone's chat. It's much easier. It's much easier when I haven't got guests on. It's very difficult when I've got guests on. So I try and make it as interactive as possible. Right, let's have a look. Imagine that's where we were. Hi, Jim, baby. Angelo. Hi, mate. Not seen you for a while. The job is far from done. Far from done. Suffer from insomnia, Mia. I rarely sleep more than 4 hours. Sometimes it can get bad. Yeah, I've got insomnia. I've got epilepsy. We got the medication you have to take on that sometimes. Fucking, yeah, you get drowsy. Drowsy or you can't sleep. Either one. We need a centre back and back up for Maddison. The drop down. 11 to the bed. It is, I mean, just Lo Celso. Working? Is it working? Oh, it's back. Apologies if the internet went a bit funky there. They've got loads of building works around here. Should be all right now. Where were we? We need to set. Yeah. We were talking about the lack of backup. Lo Celso is the one that worries me the most. Hi, Jim. I saw you on Kate's channel yesterday. How's your arm, mate? How's your arm? Is it good? I didn't know you had a problem with your arm. Thought about it. Tommy should trim his beard to a number one. He looked like an actor. Hey, I trimmed it not far. I trimmed it not long ago. My girlfriend don't like it. I look about 12. So big up Tequila. Lots of love between the people. I love it. Not bad. Back at the specialist on the 21st. Oh, I'm sad to hear that, man. Sad to hear that. Smash the likes, people. Yeah, please do. Be great if we can get to 25 likes. Be fantastic. How are you after your rude awakening? Not bad, thanks, matey. Good to see you. Shattered Mia. I'm a zombie. Anyone got COVID again? I don't want to. I don't want to talk about the big C, but I think I got it the other week. I'd like Richie back to Everton with an obligation to buy. They miss him. I think they could be up for that. But I think Richarlison will look at it and say, I want to prove myself. For 6 months, I want to prove myself for at least the second half of last season. I don't think he'd accept going back there. I think you could get him a loan move. I think you could get Richie a loan move, definitely. The fact that he is Brazil's, he's got 40 caps for Brazil and a lot of goals. You can put him out on loan. The only time I would loan Richarlison is if we got a striker in. Right now, we can't afford to. I know he's useless, but even off the bench for 15 minutes, his miss against Luton was shocking. There's something he can give us. Without him, we're in big trouble. As you said, the lack of depth isn't good at all. I think you can loan him to a foreign team. I think he'd go do well in Spain, perhaps maybe Italy. I think Spain definitely. You could even see him like a Barcelona sign, because Barcelona come in for some of our weird players like Lo Celso. They're interested in Lo Celso. I could see Richarlison going somewhere like that. Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid. I'm a zombie too, and often slow. And it's not one of those runs that just love fast. Just a girl that loves Spurs. Absolutely would love Gimenez. He's a top player. He won't be cheap, but he'll be cheaper than, say, Osherman, who I'm going to talk about next. Gimenez is a good player. We'll be okay with him. His goal scoring record this season has been fantastic. Whose girlfriend am I with right now anyway? For sure, Kate, a girl who loves Spurs. Right, I'm going to get to my pug is a greater goal return than Richarlison. You need beagles, not pugs. I do suffer from something sometimes. If you drink alcohol, a glass of red wine usually does a trick for me. Levels you out. You get used to it, man. Like most things, learn to live with the stuff. Where's Vincent? Where is Vincent? Anybody seen Vincent? Is this Dan? Is this about Dan? Is that Snatch? I love that film. Not tried that one. I'll have to grab me some red wine. Willing to try most things. Thanks, buddy. Phillips. For what? Homegrown. He's homegrown. We don't need homegrown right now. For what are you talking about, Kalvin PHILLIPS? We don't need him for homegrown. We've got the homegrown situations right. We're going to need to sort out our homegrown next season probably. If we end up selling Skip, needs to be the good stuff. I see. Indeed, there's stories of the Stuttgart striker and Spurs are interesting. 13 goals in the Bundesliga, 27-year-old striker. Yeah, I mean, Gimenez 22. Gimenez 22. Ivan Toney is like 28 as well, so he's in that sort of area. I think Veliz will stake his mark on that striker role. He looked good when he come on the other day, but it's a lot of pressure. I remember when Scarlett came on against Wolfsberger, nicked the ball off one of their players, assisted, and everyone saying this guy's going to be world class. So we need to be very, very careful. We'll see, because I'm sure Veliz will get his chance. He absolutely will get his chance. Phillips was great at Leeds. Pep brought him based on that. Would be good at Spurs. Yeah, of course. And usually Pep can mould him into how he wants them to be. Like Grealish took a year and was fantastic last year. Hasn't really moulded him. The fact that Rodri's suspended and he still puts Kovacic over him is worrying for him. And they've got Rico Lewis that plays there as well now. Well, Rico Lewis plays anywhere, so I think he'll look for a way out. Kalvin Phillips. He looks like a boy that likes to fight hard. Some players would just sit there on the wages and not give a shit about not playing, but he looks like someone that wants to be playing football. Got to keep the facial hair, bro. Richie back to Everton. Yes. I think Everton could happen. You never know. Everton could happen. Another Premier League club could happen as well. But I can see him. I can see us finding a loan move if we want to get rid of him for sure. Would people accept £30 million for him? We paid 60 a year and a half ago. Would you accept 30? On Tuesday's stream, a lot of people were saying so. They would accept 30. They'd accept 20. I think Dan said he'd accept 10. Gimenez will go for about 80, not leave his price range. I don't think Gimenez will go for 80 in the Eredivisie. I think if he was in another league and his goal scoring record was phenomenal, I think maybe go up £60 million. I mean, he's got 27 goals in 50 games. I think last season, he's got about 14, 15 goals in Eredivisie. Very good player. But 80 million, he's ranked at 20 million on transfermarket.com. We're quite accurate. 80 million, I think, is overboard. Way overboard. Even in today's, fluctuating transfer market. I see the Spurs are interested in the brilliant Norwegian winger whiz kid Oscar Bob, who's actually a Man City player. So I'm wondering, are we going to try and buy him from Man City? Oscar Bob. Wow, that's some name. I've never heard of him. Have you heard of Oscar Bob, Tommy? He's a brilliant, tricky winger with a lot of pace. I'll guarantee that's a nickname. That's not his real name. Sort of Destiny, Emerson Royal situation. Could go with that. Would leave it except 30, doubtful. He would want most of his dosh back. And he's the sort of player that will stick around for ages, and he retires. And we've done it with player over player over player over player. Right, next up. Next striker, Osherman. Now, I watch a lot of Serie A football. Most people that don't watch a lot of Champions League football will know how good this guy is. Napoli striker. Was brilliant in the Champions League as well for Napoli last season. But their social media campaign, their social media manager, Napoli, have missed a trick here. They took the piss out of this guy, basically. Their own player, their most valuable player. They had like a screeching child in a TikTok story, taking a mickey when he missed a penalty. Like a video of a screaming child, like satirically, like comedy, for when he missed a penalty for the club. And that's nothing. The next one was an emoji. The next story, or actually I think briefly before that, was a coconut. They had a coconut emoji, which they tried to say, the Napoli social media guys tried to say that it was because of his hair. But coconut is not good. It's not something a black person wants to be called. So Napoli have fucked up massively. There's big race problems going on in Italy still. There's huge problems, and he's deleted all his Twitter posts at Napoli. He wants out Osherman, one of the top strikers in the world. What club takes a piss out of their own player? Unbelievable. Main reason they won the Scudetto, one of the very main reasons. If we get top four, who knows? In and around the top four come January, this is going to be tough to get Osherman. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be very, very tough. And Levy won't spend the money this January, but just talking about strikers in general, he's got 2 years left on his contract. By the summer, he'll have 1 year left. No. By the summer, he'll have 2 years left, but that's still a problem for Napoli, because if they don't sell the following season, he can sign a pre-contract. There are other clubs in for him, I'm sure. Premier League clubs as well. Chelsea need a striker. What are they doing? I'm glad they never signed a striker. Arsenal, glad they never signed a striker. I looked at the transfer window and I feel like I'm happy. Man United signed Højlund as well. I thought Man United were getting Kane or Osherman. But Osherman's still available, and it looks like he's gonna be gunning for a move in January. He's top class, pace, power. He's not the finished article yet either, which I think a lot of managers will like. He's not too old. But you never know. If you get top four, if you challenge for a title next summer, who knows? A lot of teams have got their strikers, Mbappe's probably going to go to Real Madrid. Bayern Munich have got Kane for the next few seasons. PSG have got PSG signed. They signed Gonçalo Ramos. Yeah, a lot of the main teams have got the players they went for. The only ones that haven't, I'd say, Chelsea and Arsenal. Arsenal seem to love Nketiah. Keep that going, because I think he's awful. And Nicholas Jackson's a very good player, but he's not really an out-and-out striker. I've got a funny feeling he's going to be a Chelsea boy. Come February the 1st, Osherman, I can see him in a Chelsea shirt, unfortunately. But who knows? You can dream. Now, finally, this isn't a striker. Final one here. Jota. Heavily linked. Not a striker, but certainly an attacking player. Loads of goal contributions for Celtic over the last few years. Currently playing for an ex-Spurs manager, Al Ittihad, in the Saudi League, Nuno De Santo. He was a regular for our current Spurs manager, Ange, at Celtic. Both moved away in the summer. As we know, Ange couldn't have started off better for us, really. Jota couldn't have started off worse for his new club. Nuno is not happy with his fitness levels and effort in training, and he was only just signed for £25 million. Like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, month maximum, they're talking about ripping his contract up. It's crazy. They literally have money to throw away in Saudi Arabia if they're going to do that for a £25 million player. But that's the problem. When you're looking at attitude, fitness levels, you're looking at an Ndombele type player again, and we don't want that. We need to steer well away from that. As good as he was, I don't watch much SPL, but sometimes on a Sunday, when I come back somewhere, there's an SPL game on. There's always an SPL game on, like midday Sunday, and it's Celtic or Rangers. And then you get to see something. You get to see Ange, how Ange was performing. You get to see the Carter Vickers, who's average, Joe Hart, and Jota, who certainly stood out. Really, really stood out. When we got Ange, I said, this is the guy. I want to see this guy. But I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of his poor attitude, this poor fitness levels that Nuno just does not want. Sounds a bit like Ndombele, and we don't want that. We do not want that. Your attitude, you can get away with it at Celtic in the SPL, Scottish Premier League. You can get away with it, but in the Premier League, if you're not at it 100%, you're not going to make it. The standard's too high. So many wingers. So many wingers. I rate him highly, but I'll be very surprised to see him move. Although, if he's free, Levy may very well be tempted. May very, very well be tempted. Right. Next up, it's international break. When we come back, we've got games thick and fast. We've got 2 games in a week early. And London is calling. The first 3 games when we get back are London teams, London derbies, if you like. Chelsea being the biggest, of course. Huge. They're doing slightly better now. The return of Poch. It had to be ticked off on every Spurs calendar. The return of Poch to the lane. So Chelsea in a couple of weeks' time. Fulham to begin with. We've got Fulham first, I believe. Knocked us out of the Carabao Cup, the only team that have beaten us this season. And Palace away. We always struggle with Palace away. So tricky games. And the thing is, we have Fulham on a Monday night special football, and then Palace on the Friday night exclusive football, which is odd. Very, very odd. I don't know how that's happened in the fixture list, but it has. So we're going to have to deal with 2 games in a short space of time. We're very odd, but I don't really care because all teams have got to cope with 2 games in a week. They really do at some point. As I say, it's coming to Christmas, so we're going to have to use the whole team, the whole squad. All the sides have got to do this in the Premier League. Then after this, we go outside London. We got Wolves. How many games do you think we're getting from 15? Out of 15 points. Fulham, Palace, Chelsea, Wolves, Villa. How many points, people? Let me know in the comments. How many points are acceptable? How many points do you think we'll get? Wolves. Wolves have struggled early point of this season, but they beat City and they drew with Villa in their 2 most recent games. So they're not going to be a walkthrough for sure. They're starting to get going under Gary O'Neill. Both top sides. And then Villa. We have Villa ourselves. After Wolves, we have Villa. Great season under Emery. He didn't even have the whole of last season, did he? He took over from Gerrard. November time, and he ended it fantastically. I really like the Villa squad. What Emery's done there in a very brief amount of times is great. And I think they had the best summer. Hand on heart, I said this before I said this when the window ended. I think Villa have had the best summer. I think they've got the best signings in. Daibi is a top signing. Pau Torres. Tillemans on a free. I mean, on a free, that's pretty good. Pau Torres, Diaby looks sensational. We've got some really, really smart signings in there. And he seems to be getting the best out of McGinn, Mings, Watkins for definite. Things are going well down there. They're going really, really well. So that's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. My own opinion, look, next 5 games, 15 points available. I think we'll lose at least one. I think we'll lose one of them. I think our unbeaten record will go. But I can see it just being 1 loss. If my life depends on it and I'm predicting, I can see us just losing 1 game. Unfortunately, hopefully, if we do, it's not going to be Chelsea. We cannot lose that game. With Poch there, we cannot. But let's say 3 wins and a draw, 10 points from 15, a possible 15. I'm down for that. I'm very, very happy with that. I'm very, very down for that. Right, let's get back in the comments, see what people are saying. See how many likes we're on. I said earlier, it'd be fantastic. We've got 26 people watching. We've got people coming in and out. So I'm guessing there's a fair few that haven't hit that like yet. We're on 26 likes. Get us up to 30. There's definitely got to be 4 people here that haven't hit a like. It really does go and make a big difference. Completely free. As is subscribing to the channel. We're on 2.71k subscribers on the road to 3k. If you haven't subbed yet, please do so. The notification bell, that little bell, that's free, and it notifies you future content. You can watch it, you can not watch it, but it notifies you nonetheless. And we're doing lots of stuff, lots of new content released all the time. Dan E is releasing lots of content on his own. Total Hotspur boys on a Saturday to start the weekend off. The Aussie boys midday. They've got a fantastic thing going with the three of them. So subscribe to the channel. We're offering lots of content. Now, finally, I've done this all over the transfer window in the summer, and I enjoy this because it's nice to talk about Spurs. But sometimes it's nice not to talk about Spurs so much. It's still to do with us. We're going to look at some transfer news and rumours from around the Premier League, not just Spurs. They will affect us because a lot of these players that go and don't end up going with the rumours could go to Spurs, and it happens a great deal. But before I go over some of the paper news, got a fantastic chap I know. He compiles all the daily news. This is Thursday's football gossip. He's so good, so good. So we'll go through that in a second. Let's have a look. We're talking about Veliz. Veliz's name's coming up a lot, and rightly so. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that Osimhen is not realistic. I agree. It's not realistic. I can't see him at Spurs, certainly not in January. But as we're talking about strikers, who knows? End of the season, if we're in top four, he's available. Maybe he'll be sold by Angeball, quite frankly. Because you've got to say, like, a player coming into Spurs, that's an attractive proposition to be playing that front foot attacking football. Apparently, we're looking at Kerem, a Turkish winger for Galatasaray, Oscar Bob, Norway winger at City. That's weird. The fact that, as you said, like at City, I mean, how are we going to prize him away? We're going to pay like £60 million. Like Carlton Palmer, is it Carlton Palmer? The Chelsea signed looks very good actually. 50, 60 million pounds. I mean, who knew about him? You're going to spend £40 million on Oscar Bob? Levy ain't. Marcus Edwards, winger at Sporting, and Jota, formerly at Celtic. We've discussed why I don't want Jota. He's got fitness issues and he's got attitude issues, which is why he's going to be released. Why do we want him? It's just another Ndombele. Marcus Edwards I love. And the great thing about Marcus Edwards is he's Spurs homegrown. So if we get back into Europe, that is key. You need four. You need 4 Spurs homegrown players. In the Premier League, you just need 8 English-trained players. Specifically, you need 4 Spurs players. And we lost Winks, we lost Kane, so we're going to desperately need that next season. And he's a very good player, Marcus Edwards. Can play cam. Started as a cam. Training at Spurs, where everybody loved him. But I moved more to the right wing in Portugal. I think it's Vitória Guimarães, and now for Sporting, he plays on the right. He's got the partnership with Porro. He's played with Porro a lot in a very successful Sporting team. Marcus Edwards ticks a lot of boxes if we were to get him. He really would. He's a fantastic player. Great goal contributions as well. I signed him for Spurs. Tequila, I signed him for Spurs FC24. What does FC24 mean? FIFA Club 24. Is that what it means? I haven't played for about 4 years. What does FC24 mean? FIFA Club. FIFA. Tommy, he won me the title. Only a game, I know, but would love him at Spurs. He's terrific. He's all round very, very good player. He's so strong in the air, though. Really, really strong in the air. I see him in Italy. Italian defenders, and they don't even attempt to jump with him. He's got such a massive spring with so many headers. He's top class, Osimhen. No way he comes to Spurs, bro. I agree. I don't think he'll come. Well, you can but dream. Osimhen, yes, and of course, yes. Tommy Spurs fans taking their piss out of their beat players. Jota has played with Ange before. Yeah, 2 years at Celtic. 2 years. But being good at Celtic and being good at Spurs are 2 very, very different things in the Premier League. 2 very different things. If your attitude isn't right, then that's a big red flag, isn't it? That is the red flag if your attitude isn't right. Kane, Son, Dele, etc. I like that Veliz. I'd back him, Jeff. Jota was very fit for Ange at Celtic. I don't recall hearing any problems with. See, I'm the same. I didn't hear that. And when I was watching SBL games, he's both footed as well. Jota can play on both sides. First player I said I wanted, we were linked with fucking Carter Vickers because he used to play for Spurs. No. First player I wanted was Jota, because he always stood out as their best player. But clearly something wrong with his fitness or attitude. It's not just, you know, if you're going to rip up someone's contract after 2 or 3 months, something wrong. And they won the Saudi Premier League, didn't they, last season? They're a good team in that, you know, in that landscape. It's a no-brainer. He wants out of Saudi. We should be all over him. He'll want to come. It's just the fitness issues. I don't doubt his ability. We are looking at a Turkish winger. I did a video about him today. Oh, right, I should know him. I don't really watch Galatasaray these days. My family supported Galatasaray growing up. I supported him a little bit. Always kept track of him, but the Turkish league's been so bad the last 5 years. I just don't bother these days. But I do know that Victor Nelson from Galatasaray is a very, very good centre back. We're looking at centre backs in January, which I think we should do. We should be looking at Nelson. I was hoping we'd do some sort of Nelson Sanchez swap deal, but it wasn't to be. We were looking at Turkish. I did a video. Right, so go over to Mia's channel. There's a bit of a mouthful. The long ones, I can't remember the names. I can't even remember my own channel name sometimes in this Hotspur Hood. So put your channel in the chat, and the people that haven't been there, make sure you go over there and check out what Mia's up to. And check out Dan and Mia's stream yesterday. They were both on here. Fantastic. Jota Saudi Arabian team has signed one too many foreigners, so Jota wants to move to Spurs. Yeah, but they knew how many they were signing before. Spurs fans taking a piss out of their best players, Kane, Son, Bauer. Spurs have taken a piss out of their best. Dara, who do you support, Dara? I never really heard of him, yeah. Gotta be honest, but don't follow Turkish football, really. Jota would make tons of sense. It does make a lot of sense. I didn't know that about Jota. 10 points. 10 points. Yeah, I think 10 points. Three wins, a draw and a loss. Maybe lose. No, I think we'll beat Palace. Might lose to Villa. Villa are tough. Villa are very, very tough. Chelsea starting to get their act together slowly but surely. They've got, look, to be fair, their midfield three is very good. Sassedo will come good. I've seen him recently. He looks like he's getting back to what he was doing at Brighton. Enzo Fernandez will never score many goals, but the guy's class. He's class. Miss some sitters. Like, the guy will never score goals. Chelsea fans getting on his back a bit because he missed a lot of sitters this season, but he is a top player. And Gallagher I rate very highly as a cam. If you keep Gallagher as a cam, guy just runs his fucking socks off, and he's very, very. He's got great first touch, good dribbler. I'd take him at Spurs all day long. I'd love Gallagher fighting with Maddison for that cam spot, and then maybe going centre midfield fighting for that. But it's not happening. First team for Chelsea, captain of Chelsea. First team, captain of Chelsea, and it's Chelsea. They're not selling to us. They don't need to sell. That's Chelsea never need to sell. They don't need the money, that's for sure. His stats ain't bad. He played well against Man United. That's all I know. Yeah, they smashed Man United, didn't they? Sanchez got 2 assists in that game, didn't he? I was streaming when it was going live. And yeah, Sanchez got 2 assists. And Villa are big threat. We'll have to go watch the highlights of Man United versus Gala. I did watch the highlights. I did watch the highlights, but I didn't focus. I watched like 2-minute highlights. It was just, I was going through loads of highlights. So I didn't really take much into account. We're bound to drop points, but 12 should be achievable. 4 wins. Or, yeah, soon we can get 4 wins. And 1 loss. How good we've signed Mun and Lange. I'm flipping chuffed. I don't know anything about Mun. I can't say I'm chuffed. To be honest with you, I can't say I'm chuffed at all. Mun, the fact that Mun was linked with Man City is good because he came from the same sort of affiliation, same sort of company as Man City. If you link with Man City, it doesn't matter what job you've been doing, player, coach, or otherwise, then I suppose that's good. But, you know, he's done the majority of his work in Australia. We don't really see what he's doing. I heard that he was in control of, you know, employing the technical directors, the directors of football. So it looks like Mun, if that's correct, then Mun's employed Lang, ex-Aston Villa director of football. But this whole we attracted Lang from Villa is wrong. Could be very good, Lang. Could turn out very good. He's got signed some good players for them, signed some bad players for them, Villa. But he got taken over. Monchi went to Villa. I think Monchi done a great job in the summer. As I say, I think Villa done terrifically well. And so He surplus the requirements. Lange was surplus the requirements of Villa, and then he signed for us. The jury's out. We need to see. We need to see what they do. I can't say I'm flipping chuffed. I didn't know who Munn was, and I don't really know what he's doing. But Lange, very early, very, very early. The window starts in January, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how much power he's given by Levy. That's the key. Will he be given the power? Come on, guys. Please smash that like button. It helps the channel a lot. Yeah, it does. Thank you ever so much. And certainly go over to Mia's channel too. Have subbed and liked, my man. You earned it. Thank you very much. We should beat all these teams. We're the best show in town. Hopefully, Basuma and everyone else stay fit and focus. I saw us playing the best form of handball for at least 15 minutes Sunday. I mean, Sunday, we could have been 4-0 up in the first 15 minutes. We should have been 4-0 up in the first 15 minutes. Yeah, we'll take Edwards back. Tick so many boxes. If you can get him for £30 million, then yeah. So Spurs between the lines. Mia's Spurs between the lines. Get over to the YouTube channel. I think we've got over 1,000 subscribers already. Get over there. Every sub matters. Every sub makes a difference, and it's free, as it is here. Not sure. Not sure. They just can't use the FIFA name anymore. Is that what it is? That's weird. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's copyright, some sort of copyright situation. I heard the reason was they had too many English players and why Jota wasn't registered. Possibly. That would be great. If that is the case, that would be fantastic. But I heard his contract was being cancelled. If someone's contract's being cancelled, you think something's gone on behind the scenes. Because you'd still try and just loan him out in January. But to cancel a contract for a guy who signed £25 million just because of some sort of a squad error. To not realise that you've got that many players is juvenile, to say the least. We won't know. We don't know, do we? We don't know. Hopefully it is that. If he comes to Spurs for those reasons, and we've got a terrific player in our hands. I mean, talent-wise, he's fantastic. He plays on both sides. Played with Ange for 2 years. Spurs between the lines, year above. Right. Transfer news and rumours before we go today. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I know it's a weird time. It's lunchtime. So thank you ever so much for watching the stream. But we're not done yet. So rumours and transfer activity from around the Prem. So Man City are keen to give their Norway forward Erling Haaland, 23, a new contract, which will remove a reported £170 million release clause and reduce fears that Real Madrid or Barcelona could lure him away. Haaland has 44 goals in 43 Premier League appearances. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. I always put the name, the source of where I get it from. Or a friend of mine gets it from, let's say. He compiles this. So you see, that doesn't affect us. But with the domino effect of football, all these little things could affect us. Any small transfer can affect us massively. As I talked about the Osherman deal, let's say that Haaland did move to Real Madrid. They hit that minimum release fee, £170 million. Then Man City will be looking at striker Osherman. One player moving can change everything, change the variables. Okay, a member of Real Madrid's board says he hopes France striker Kylian Mbappe will choose to join the Spanish club when the 24-year-old's contract with Paris Saint-Germain runs out next summer. That is Remontado Blanca in Spanish newspaper. Man United have added Sporting Lisbon and Portugal defender Gonçalo Inácio, 22, to their list of targets as they look to strengthen their defence next summer. That's the Mirror. We were linked with this guy. We were linked with Inácio, another Sporting player. Get more Sporting players in. Just get a unit of Sporting players. Marcus Edwards. We've already got Porro, Inácio. Yeah, why not? I'm so glad and stuck with Porro. I said stick with Porro. Just stick with Porro. Okay, his defensive side of his game is not great, but he was Alexander-Arnold. And if you put him in the same category as Arnold, not quite as good at set pieces, but sometimes the best form of defense is attack. I think that's what we get with Porro. Emerson just offers nothing. 2 assists in like 70 games. It's just atrocious. So glad we got Porro. Inácio, I don't think we're going to spend big on a centre-back this season, although I feel like we should do. Man City midfielder Kalvin PHILLIPS is expected to leave the club in January, with Newcastle and Everton among those interested in the 27-year-old. International The Eye newspaper. Arsenal have been working on a deal to sign England. Somebody put this in the chat already. Ivan Toney to Arsenal. Arsenal have been working on a deal to sign England striker Ivan Toney from Brentford. and conversations have taken place between the two clubs, while Chelsea are also interested in the 27-year-old. That's what I'm saying. Chelsea and Arsenal missed a trick by not signing a striker in the summer. Nicholas Jackson and Nketiah. They've got Jesus as well, Arsenal, but he's not a striker. We can see the guy can't finish. They're going to be looking at players. I could see Ivan Toney going Arsenal and Osimhen going Chelsea easily. Team Talk reporting that English midfielder Trevor Chalobah could leave Chelsea in January, with manager Pochettino also looking to sell more players in the next transfer window. He's centre back and a centre mid. Chalobah. I know Chalobah started as a centre back for them, but yeah, it looks like he's up for sale at Chelsea. They've sold so many players. They sold 22 players in the summer window with Poch. 22, crazy. Jamaica could offer Man United's 22-year-old forward Mason Greenwood, who's on loan at Spanish side Getafe, a return to international football. 3 years after he made a senior appearance for England. How does that work? I don't know how that works. Arsenal leading the race for 19-year-old Borussia Dortmund in England under-21 winger. Jamie Bino Gittins. Yeah, this guy I've heard about. Borussia Dortmund in England winger Bino Gittins. They're talking about this guy like this is the next Sancho. This is the next Bellingham that Dortmund seem to nick. They've got another under 20 and under 21 international who looks very good. So Jamie Bino Gittins. Arsenal looking at him. Remember that name. That's the build in German. Man City are interested in Germany midfielder Kimmich, and Bayern Munich may be forced to sell the 28-year-old if he does not extend his contract beyond 2025. If they were to do that, then Phillips would certainly be available. Imagine they'd done that in January. Phillips would be pretty much gone. That's why, domino effect. Inter Milan have ruled out a January move for Chelsea's Albanian forward Armando Broja. That's Romano reporting, Fabrizio Romano. And this is the thing. Inter need a striker. That's why Gimenez is most linked there. Santiago Gimenez, the final striker. Because they got rid of Dzeko. I think he might have retired Dzeko. Or maybe gone to MLS or something like that, Dzeko. Lukaku's on loan at Roma now. They signed Marcus Thuram, but they want another striker. So Broja to Inter Milan could happen. Gimenez to Inter Milan could happen. Former Chelsea and Tottenham manager Antonio Conte is open to taking over as Napoli manager if the Serie A champions dismiss Rudy Garcia. Rudy Garcia is not happy there. This whole Osimhen situation, the bloody stupid social media managers has properly pissed him off. So, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. So we've got a delivery. Gonna have to bounce in a second. I have to bounce anyway. We're nearly at the end of the stream, but Conte at Napoli. I heard Conte at Roma because Roma are 10th under Jose right now. Right, that would make a lot of sense. Conte's gonna go somewhere and win titles. Gets a lot of stick from the Spurs fan base, rightly so, in how negative he played at times. It was negative, but the guy's a serial winner. He will go somewhere else and win things for sure. West Ham are planning to hold talks about a new contract with 28-year-old France defender Kurt Zouma, the cat kicker himself, whose deal runs out in 2025. Team Talk reporting that too. Finally, Jude Bellingham's father gave Man City hope of signing him in the summer, but the 20-year-old England midfielder only wanted Real Madrid. Well, that's the most rubbish story I've ever heard. Meaningless, useless story I've ever heard to end things. But thanks for watching. It's been good. It's been good fun. Thanks for getting in the chat. As I said on these solo streams, try and make things as interactive as possible. I try to read everyone's bits and pieces out. Thanks for joining me. We might have a live show Friday. It won't be me. If it is, maybe Dan, maybe someone else. Total Hotspur boys going live Saturday. I'm definitely going to be back Sunday for another Spurs stream. So as I said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to sub, hit the bell. Even after we finished, make sure you can get in the comments. If you're watching the recording, get in the comments and tell me what you think. I'll try and get back to you. Cheers for the support. Stay classy, little whites. Much love. Peace out.